And come back up when we're not busy. Ivan, how are you doing?
What's up, dude?
Can we have your age for TikTok TOS, please?
Repeat that?
Can we have your age for TikTok TOS, please?
18.
18?
Yep.
Okay, we believe God is a sick fuck. Can you prove us otherwise?
Yeah, is it gonna be the position that that a certain God under a doctrine is in that category, or is it just gonna be talking about God in general?
Can you tell me that Jesus is not the Messiah and he did not unalive for anybody's sins?
Well, that doesn't answer my question. I asked you whether the question was
Technically does. Read between the
See,
talking
lines.
about.
Christians always want to try to run away from being Christians.
I
If you
just
could just
asked
say
you a
that real
question
quick, and
and
then
you
we could
gave
just
me a
get right to
question
the
back.
chase.
I asked you a question. I'll answer your
Yeah,
question. That's fine.
yeah.
I'll
I
answer
would
your
hold
question.
that most gods are going to be sick fucks.
Okay. So, not a certain God.
Um, well, I'm gearing this towards a certain god, but what god are you talking about?
Well, we're just gonna, yeah. So you asked
Well, hold
me.
on. I answered your question, so can
Yeah,
you
yeah,
answer my
yeah. I'm
question real
asking.
quick? Hold on. So I answered your
Yeah,
question. I need you to answer a
yeah,
question.
yeah. Just
Can you
repeat the
just say
question.
that God is, or that Jesus is not God? He's not the Son of God. And he didn't unalive for anybody's sins.
No, no. I believe that he is the Son of God and that he is God.
Okay, so we'll just stick to the Bible then. Got it.
All right. Yep. Oh, is it gonna be some?
Evidence
Are
for
we gonna be
what?
using moral arguments, or is it just gonna be ethics and about the existence of God or the Bible?
Um,
Both.
yeah, it'd be both.
Okay,
But the
that's fine.
question is, do you think that slavery is ever acceptable at any point in time?
If God commands it, yeah.
So if God commands slavery, it's good.
Yep.
And do you believe that God is the anything that God says is objectively good?
No, subjectively, I don't believe in objective morality.
So for God to say it, it is subjective. So God has no moral goods.
No, that doesn't follow. So under the divine subjectivist paradigm, which is what we're talking about, we believe that God is a mind, okay, who has morals, and because he's all good, whatever he says is also all good. So therefore, when he commands something, it's good because he's all good, and it's subjectively because that depends on his mind. We don't believe it's mind independent.
Okay. So when God is making it clear in Leviticus
Which
that
chapter and verse? Like we're
it's going
just
to be
wait before
Leviticus
you.
20.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. So we're just gonna be going like verse by verse. We're not gonna like use multiple verses unless it's a part of your main point. Like they connect to make the argument.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate scripture chaining. So what we have in Leviticus 25 is we start with the
Wait,
sabbatical
which verse?
year and Jubilee. That doesn't matter, right?
Wait,
That
which
part is
verse?
it. Yeah, we'll get there. So what we're going to get is these are kind of long verses. So instead of reading them, like you can read them if you want, I'll just paraphrase them real quick. So we're going to have in verse 25, 26, or verse 25 through, yeah, 38. So 25 through 38. Essentially, what
Yeah.
this says is that if you're an Israelite and you're struggling financially, then you can sell your property. And then once you've sold your property, when we go into verse 35, once you've sold your property, you've become, it's called, you've fallen into difficulty. And then you can go to another Israelite or a Gentile and take out a loan. But let's say you're still struggling. After you've taken out this loan, this is where we're going to go into verse 39. It will say, if any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. Now, here when it uses slaves, the Hebrew word there is going to be abed. And then in verse 40, they shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. So the shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. It's using the Hebrew word sahir. The semantic range for the Hebrew word sahir is strictly like hired or bound
Yeah,
servant.
can you just slow down? Because you already like right now I see like the build up at the start. It's kind of an assertion because at the start you told me that it's talking about Israelites and that
Yeah,
there's
well, I'll
some
tell
kind
you
of
why it's talking about
yeah,
Israelites.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's talking about
Can,
Israelites.
so we're just gonna go verse by verse. Just go verse by verse, point by
Yep.
point.
So this is where we're going to get into why we know it's the Israelites. They shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee, which is mentioned in the up verses, and up in the upper verses, it's going to talk about how this applies for the
No, no.
Israelites.
Which verse is that? I asked for the verse, not the quotation.
Yeah, yeah. So it's going to be um verse 39. Sorry, verse 39. Again, it says if
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna read it too. You've already like went
yeah,
through
yeah,
it.
yeah. Hold
Yep.
on. They shall remain with you as hired bound laborers. They shall serve you until the year of Jubilee. Now, when you go up to the year of Jubilee,
Wait, which translation are you using so I can like understand the wording that's being used
the
here? Cause
NRSVUE.
what's the NRSU?
It's the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. If you ever go like to seminary or Bible school, this is a version you're going to use. The way it gets its translation
So
is they pull both secular and religious scholars being both Christian and Jewish, and they take a look at all of the manuscripts we have, all of the earliest manuscripts, to
wait,
include
just
the
quote the
Dead Sea.
version. Yeah, that's fine. We can use this, but what's the version?
Yeah, it's NRSVUE, New Revised
NRSV
Standard Version, updated
VUV
edition.
NRSUV VUV.
VUE.
Okay, VUE. Okay, I
Yeah,
found it.
VUE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna quote it real quick. If this is the 39. If anyone who are dependent on you becomes so impoverished, okay, that they
Impoverished.
yeah, my bad, that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as a slave. So clear based off what I'm getting is it says you shall not make them serve as slaves. Then it says sell themselves, but we can see where the build-ups are. Okay, just give the verse that you used to connect to this.
Yeah. So right after that, it says, they shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. They shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee. Now, the reason why we know that all of this above this is talking about the Israelites is going to be right up to the top in verse 1. The Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land that I'm giving you. And all of this verse here, including going all the way down, is strictly talking about the Israelites. It's not talking about
Yeah.
anybody else but
So
the
I asked for
Israelites.
the verse. You just told me go a little bit up. You didn't give me like a citation. You just went
I
to
did. I
verse one.
told you 25 verse 1. It says, The Lord spoke to Moses on
Wait, hold on.
Sinai, saying,
I have to stop you
Speak
right
to
there.
the
Wait,
Israelites
wait,
and
wait.
say to them,
Hold on. You told me that it was verse 30 to 39 or verse 30 to 40, and now
Are
you
you
went to
not
one.
listening? Like seriously. Okay,
You
listen,
went to
listen.
verse one.
Can we give this guy some gifts so we can go buy some Q-tips? But real quick, I'll read this again. Now listen, not to respond.
Can you go verse by verse than rather Bible jumping?
Yeah, I
Like
am.
I know it's what you guys
Then
do, but like
they shall remain. This is verse 40.
okay.
Then
Okay,
they
so now
shall
it's 40 from
remain
that
with
one.
you.
Okay.
Wait, what?
So now it's verse 40. So you could have just given me that, but you didn't do that.
I did.
No,
I
you
did,
didn't.
and
You
I
said
read
verse
it.
1. Wait, hold on. Did this guy say verse 40? No, he didn't. You said verse 1. This live is being
Wait.
recorded, dude.
Hold,
Yes,
hold,
you
hold on,
did.
hold on, hold on. When I jumped to verse 1, when I said that already, you said I'm still back in 39. Are you
Because
not
you
back in
told
39, or
no,
are
because
you?
you explicitly told me the argument is 30 to 40. You explicitly told me that at the start. I asked you where are the verse line, and you told me we're going to 30 all the way to 40.
All right, listen. So here's what I said. Now listen, right? What I said is when we start in verse 25, right? Verse 25, we're going to get a case of they sell their property. If they sold their property, they're still struggling. Verse 29, uh, they're going to take a loan, right? In verse 35. And then starting in verse
29 or
39,
35? Hold on, you got me confused right there. You said 29 and 35?
all right, so verse 25, they sell their property, right? Verse 25, if they're struggling financially, they're in difficulty, they sell their
Yeah,
property.
I'll just look at it because I wanna see where this ad. Okay, all right, yeah, we'll just quote. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, I'm just gonna read 42 because you gave me 40. Let me just finish. So
Yep.
so yeah, 40 was what if someone becomes so for or no, not this one. This was the other one. Okay, so okay 25. Let me scroll down. 25. And then you went to 29 after that, right? I just wanna. Okay. If any one of your kin falls into difficulty and sells a piece of property, then the next of kin shall come and redeem what the relative has sold. So someone becomes poor, then sells a piece of property, meaning they're losing their means of survival. And then family is, I think, oh yeah, next of kin would just be talking about family. Yeah, so it's stopping people from, I guess you could just say, losing everyone based off what I'm getting this verse. Well, I want to see the build up. Yeah, and the next verse, you gave me 29, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to 29 because and you're connecting all of these, right?
Well, so what I'm saying is between verses 25 through 28, right? Through 28 or 38, not 28, through 38. What these are essentially saying is if you're struggling, right? You're struggling financially, right? You can sell your property. If you've sold your property and you're still struggling, then you take out a loan. But if you've taken out a loan and you're still struggling, right? Then in verse, so that's through 38. In verse 39, it says, if you've already taken out that loan, right? Then you go and you sell yourself as a sahir, as a hired servant.
Okay, so I'm on the verses. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. So we're just gonna. Okay, so I'm on it right now. So, 25 and 28 is talking about the family. We know that. So what I'm getting right, it's saying that if a relative, which is the family, when it says kinsim redeemer, they're like if they become poor and sell a land, a family member, which would be the kin redeemer, can buy it back. Another thing, if the family can't, then we know it returns to the original owner of, and like in the year of jubilee that this is
Yep.
going on, right?
Yep.
So they're basically trying to keep land in the family and to prevent permanent
It's within
loss.
the Israelites. The kin here being used is just it's in reference to any Israelite. So, because the Israelites are considered a tribe, they're one big family, and the reason for this is later on we'll get from kin shifting to goyim, meaning nations. So kin just means any Israelite.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we could get through that. So I'm assuming when it says focus on your king and thy brother, that would be the laws that apply primarily to the Israelites. So that we can grant that this is for the Israelites, and it probably is. But I want to just okay. So you also went to 29. So 29, right? We can look at 29 and we can see that the houses, they can still be redeemed like even within a full year, because after a year the owner buys it perfect, like they buy it what's the right term, like permanently, right? So this is protecting owners from immediate permanent like disownership due to some hardship like we got from there.
We already, all of us know this
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
We're aware
yeah.
of
So
this.
we're just like examining it. Then 32 to, hold on. Yeah, yeah, you went. So the
But
Levites
it
have.
doesn't extend beyond the Jubilee. So you can get it, like you can pay it off, but let's say you can't. At the end of 40 years, because the Jubilee is every 40 years, and let's say you haven't paid it off. Well, at the end of the Jubilee, you just get it back.
Okay. And yeah, we're just yeah. And which verse is that like So that would be okay. So you quoted right. I'm only reading the ones that you gave. So just to summarize what I got from the first three verses, it's talking that the land isn't permanently lost. Then with the whole 34, it just seems like this is saying that like if a poor Israelite can't redeem the land, I don't see how this is like a problem until now, because what I'm getting is right. It seems like it's saying that a poor Israelite can't redeem their land, and like the land stays with the buyer until the Jubilee. But
And
that's
then they
like,
get it back.
yeah, so like that's like exactly the point. Like the land will return.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
important part
Wait,
here, though,
hold on.
is
I just wanna like land.
okay, go
Can we
ahead.
agree that this system somewhat is designed to prevent some sort of like permanent poverty? Because this is
Yeah,
a.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what we're getting at. For the Israelites, though. For the Israelites.
Okay.
Okay, now, so it then mentions, again, if we go to 39, right? So in verse 35 is where it talks about
35
taking a
what?
loan, right? So verse 35 talks about, let's say they've sold their property, so they can't sell anything to get more money. Well, in verse 35 it says that you will support them, they're going to live with you, right? They're going to live with you, they're not in servitude to you yet. And they're going to take a loan from you, which is why it says you can't take interest or make a profit off of them, right?
That's not what
um
the verse says. So
Yeah, it does. If any
35
of your
doesn't say
kin
that.
falls into difficulty and becomes dependent on you, you shall support them. They shall live with you as though resident aliens. Do not take interest in advance or otherwise make a profit for them, but fear your God. Let them live with you. You shall not lend them your money at interest taken in advance or provide them food at a profit. So you can give them a loan, but you're not to
Is
collect
that what
interest off
35
of them.
says? I don't think that's. I'm looking at 35. Okay, I'll quote 35 from like what I'm because I'm using Bible Hub.
Listen.
Wait, can you show
35.
can you show
If any of your
35 on the
kin
screen?
falls into difficulty and becomes dependent on you, this is meaning they've sold their property and they're still struggling,
Wait,
right?
can you show
And
me
they
the verse though? Can you like turn on your camera? Let me see if that's actually 35.
do you not see it in front of you?
No, it's well. I'm looking at my own right now.
I thought
The
you
my
said you had the NRSVUE
I
opened up.
do. Well, yeah, I could quote it. Look, this is what Mines is telling me. If any of your kin become poor and are unable to support themselves, among you help them as you would a stranger or sojourner, so that you may
What
continue
version
to
are
live
you
with
in?
them. I'm in 35 right now.
No, what version of the Bible? That's not what the NRSVUE says.
That sounds like the
I'm in
new
okay.
King James.
I'm in no, I'm not in King James. I'm in NRS VUE. I can show you. I'm on it right now. That's what it's telling me.
Show it.
Yeah, just show your thing. I can't turn on my camera. I don't have enough followers. Like you can check my account. I'm not lying.
Cyber, you have to remove the green screen to show the screen, darling.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So I want like the 35 to explicitly state what you were. Okay, yeah. Let's see.
So yeah, so what we get with 35 is if any of your kin falls into difficulty and becomes dependent on you, you shall support them. They shall live with you as though resident aliens. 36. Do
Wait, hold on. You
not.
said that was in 35. You hold on. You told me those sentences were explicitly in 35, but they're in more verses. That's why I
Well, I
asked you, are
am
there multiple
about
verses?
to kick you if you can't track how reading
You
scripture
told
works.
me that they're in 35, right? And now you're moving and adding extra verses to that. You said that was
No, he's
35
not. He's
explicitly.
basically
I
giving
have
you a
35 right here.
rundown.
He
Shut the
put.
fuck up. He's
Hold
He
on.
basically
quoted. Hold
simplifying
on.
it for you.
Why
Are
are you
you
guys
And I
dumb?
being?
told you it was 35 through 38.
Wait, hold
Literally.
on. I asked you, is that just 35? And you said yes. And I said, I have
No, I
35 right
did
here.
not.
He
Yes, you
literally
So,
did.
said
I asked
he
you.
but
said through
36 says,
38.
look,
You're not listening.
Okay, you
yeah,
know what?
and I'm
We'll go to
about to
35,
kick you because
36.
you're intentionally obfuscating because you don't want to actually get into the
Okay,
substance.
35.
So 36, do not take interest in advance or otherwise make a profit from them, but fear your God and let them live with you. You shall not lend them your money at interest taken in advance or provide them food at a profit. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt and gave you the land of Canaan to be your God, right? So what this passage is saying is you're going to bring them in and live with you. They're not yet a sahir, right? You can't even make a profit off of them at this point. And if you give them a loan, you cannot collect interest or make money off of them. That's all this is saying. So what we have here is up here we have you're going to sell your property. And if you've sold your property and you're still struggling, right? Then in these passages, right, you're going to take a loan. But let's say you've taken a loan and you're still struggling. Then in 39, if any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. Now, this word slave in Hebrew is aved,
Yes.
right?
So what are the two verses you used to get that connection? So we have that one. Then what was the other one? Because you quoted three.
Yeah, they shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. Now, this hired or bound labor, this word here in Hebrew is sahir. Sahir's only semantic range is
So
like
39 and
a,
41. You're connecting those two?
well, this is 40. We're not in 41 yet.
Okay, so 39
They
to
shall
40.
serve you until the year of Jubilee. Right? So we're not going into 41 yet. We're not going to go into 41 yet. We're going to stop in 40, the year of Jubilee. Now, the reason why we know all of this, and it actually include more of this, but the reason why we know at least from 40 all the way up is only talking about the Israelites is because up here in verse 1, we get the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai saying, speak to the Israelites and say to them. And then all of this going down is going to refer to you, right? So you're going to have where it says, I am giving you, the land shall observe the Sabbath 6 years, your field. So this you that's going to be referred to, all of this is in reference to the Israelites, right? So it's instructions to the Israelites. Now, with that said, so we know that this is only about the Israelites. Do you have any contention with that?
Hold on. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so I wanna address the one that you gave me. You gave me 39 and 40. So, based off what we got from 39, we know that 39 isn't obviously talking about slavery because it obviously forbidded treating a fellow Israelite as a slave. We also know that verse 40 is saying they work as hired or bound laborers.
And what's
So
that
it's
Hebrew
not
word?
so it's not permanent. Oh yeah, we could go to the
Correct.
Greek. Yeah, we could yeah. So we also know that what was the other thing you brought up? Oh yeah, their service ends with the year of Jubilee, at which point they are freed. So this just seems like there's a limited term. So based off what I got, I think this is only for the Israelite citizens, like not even the foreigners. If that's what
Correct.
we're getting at, yeah. So and you quoted yeah. So you went to 1 to 7. God speaks to Moses at Mount Sinai, the year of the Sabbath. Yeah, this is saying that the laws were given to the. This just seems like it's talking about the laws that were given to the Israelite nations because God commands the nation about the land. Hold on, oh yeah, yeah. This is just talking about the covenantal like instructions that God gave for Israel. This would just be the covenant.
No,
So
this is talking specifically these laws, right?
yeah, and these laws we're not bound by these laws. These laws were Israel broke the covenant. This is just a covenant that God gave them, and they accepted this
Well,
covenant.
hold on. Let me finish, though. Let me finish, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So then when we go into verse Um, so, and we'll keep reading this real quick. So we're going to read all the way through 43. We're not going to go into 44, right? So then we're going to get 41. Then they, again, the Israelites, as you agreed, then they and their children with them shall go out from your authority. They shall go back to their own family and return to their ancestral property. Again, we agree this is only the Israelites. For they are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. They, again, the Israelites, we agreed to this already, shall not be sold as slaves are sold. You shall not rule over them with harshness, but shall fear your God. So all of that is speaking of the
Which
Israelites,
verse?
strictly the
Wait.
Israelites.
Give me the timeline. Like, is that verse 41 to what?
Verse 41 through 43.
Okay, so yeah. All right, I'm gonna yeah. So you already read it. Okay, so I'm gonna quote these two. But your male and female slaves, whom you have made, and you may who you may have, you may acquire, male and female slaves from the nations around you. You shall treat them well, since you know their labor. They are your hired workers, not your permanent slaves. You shall not rule over them ruthlessly, but fear your God. So this just seems like okay. So this verse okay this verse is about the foreigners and I know this
No,
no yes it is because look we know that the Israelites from 39 to 40 are protected from permanent slavery. These verses address people from the neighboring nations because the Israelites
no, that
no
doesn't
hold
start
on
till
why are
verse
you interrupting me
44.
when I'm giving my
Because
interpretation.
that doesn't start till verse 44. You're just wrong.
No you want me to quote for it
Show me in
so
the
you're telling me
wordage
I'm
where
wrong but you won't let me finish.
Show me in the wordage where it switches to being the people of other nations.
It says neighboring nations. Was the Israelite one nation at the time? Are they one nation?
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're one nation and it talks about other nations, how could those be the Israelites?
Wait, where does it talk about neighboring nations in between verses 39 through 43?
Yeah, so we're just gonna go to 39 to 43.
Mm-hmm. Where does it mention neighboring nations in there?
Well, hold on, let me go to it. I don't think it says explicitly, but we read 49. Okay.
Since this is how you want to do it, you want me to say only what's in those verses.
Yeah, so okay. Okay, we got okay. We got many. Okay. I gotta scroll down. Okay, alright, I found it. Yeah, so let's read. So let's go to 41 to 46, the ones that we went through.
No,
Okay.
no, no. I didn't say anything about 46. We ended at 43.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can read
Wait, hold on. Yeah,
43.
I'll go to 39 because 39. Let's go to 39. So wait, where's 39? Okay. If any of your king becomes self-war, so that they shall sell them to you, you shall not. Yeah. So this is just saying that the Israelites cannot. You can't make them like as like permanent slaves. They
Yeah,
shall
and then
remain.
40 says,
Hold on.
they shall
Wait.
remain with you as sahirs. They shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee, meaning that when even if they're an indentured servant, they get to go free at the year of Jubilee, correct?
I have to finish my point to address that because so we know 39 explicitly forbids like treating a fellow Israelite as a slave, like
Explicitly
we went through,
forbids
right?
like treating a fellow Israelite. All right, we're gonna move on. That was